A North Carolina trustee has made it clear the exit from the ACC is imminent, and hello, Big 12 and the Tar Heels. This is Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to Locked On Big 12. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. That guy is Eric, insert last name here. Special Teams Hugh on Twitter and a Big 12 expert. Thanks for making this show your first listen every single day. Eric, North Carolina Board of Regent, this guy, trustee, something, Dave Boliak, says this. I am advocating, told WRAL, I am advocating for that, for UNC to join a higher revenue league. That's what we need to do. Boom. Tar Heels are gone. And guess what? The Big 12 is a higher revenue league when Clemson and Florida State leave the ACC, according to the College Football Playoff Committee and ESPN's TV contract. Hello, new brother, UNC. Is that a good or bad thing?
It is an absolutely fantastic thing.
Boom.
You would be crazy to be a Big 12 member and not shoot instantly at getting North Carolina in our conference. Not a juggernaut in football, but one of the most historic basketball programs there is. So when you start to look at what we can do with realignment going forward, because this is a very smart move by North Carolina, in my opinion. The ACC is going to fall apart, and it's a ticking time bomb. And you've already seen the bomb start. So them getting out, fantastic decision. I hope that man's followed, because you get out early. Like, you don't know what can come with getting out last in a conference, especially in today's world. So automatically they'll bring a good football program. Like, North Carolina is a consistent average team in the
which is not a bad thing. Like, consistently average
football conference in the nation. So the fact that they hold their weight, and they always have some QB who goes in the first round randomly. Yeah. So I mean, like, they're no schmoes, when it comes to football. But what's really exciting is basketball, which I think personally we're building our brand around in the Big 12. You have the best basketball conference in the nation, so why would you not want to go after one of the most historic names in basketball, man?
I think I want to actually qualify something you said here. The North Carolina is consistently average. Nobody's arguing that historically UNC is this great, powerful, almighty football brand. And consistently average is adequate enough when Boston College has always sucked, when Syracuse has always sucked. Like, those schools are going to get left off the table. Wake Forest is in that conversation too, because they've never been good. Carolina at least has their good years, and former Big 12 coach Mac Brown. My thing, again, Eric, the reason your last name is not on the screen, and this is to protect his identity because Eric has so many sources inside of both the ACC and the Big 12.
Absolutely.
Talking Big 10, SEC, do you think North Carolina would be upset to go to the Big 12 instead of one of the Big 2 conferences?
Yes, I think they would be. I do want to clarify something. I said that the ACC was the best football conference in the nation. I meant to say one of. But if you are leaving a conference right now, you want to go to the SEC or the Big 10. The Big 12, sadly, is the guy left out. He still made the group, but he's the guy that walks behind the other two. And it's just how things are at the moment. I talked about this recently. What TCU did for our conference by beating Michigan is a big deal going forward in prevalence in sports. I don't mean to jump there, man, but like, no one talks about that enough. That was a big deal, beating the champion of their conference. Going back to North Carolina, they don't want to come to the Big 12. They want a shot at the Big 10, the SEC. Now, will they get in? I don't think so. I don't think the SEC, absolutely not. The Big 10, there's a chance. I see North Carolina most probably coming to the Big 12. What about you?
So the reason I think North Carolina is a Big 12 program is because the SEC itself is showing more interest elsewhere, if not no interest at all in there. I mean, they're in no rush. Greg Sankey made it clear they're in no rush. And now there are murmurs of Kansas going to the SEC, right? There are wild things being put out all over the place when it comes to that conference. Man. But I think that internally, they don't really want to make a big move yet. The Big 10 is another entity that's gotten so big so quickly that I don't know if they're going to jump for North Carolina if they get Clemson and Florida State, which is the goal, then leaving a North Carolina for the Big 12. So many people have said, oh, it's impossible. It'll never happen. I think the word impossible is something we can't use in expansion. And it is not impossible that the ACC does stay together. At least that's according to that same trustee who told WRAL, it's Dave Boliak, saying the ACC could be somewhere they stay if it reconstructs itself. What does that mean to you, Eric? Can the ACC reconstruct itself?
It means supplementing for their biggest losses, which are going to be Clemson and Florida State. So when they say they're going to reconstruct themselves, they're hoping they can bring in enough talent to supplement, and you can't. Before I could even finish that thought, it's not going to happen. Yeah. So, I mean, if you're from within
wait, are you saying that bringing in Stanford and Cal and SMU won't keep the conference alive?
I mean, SMU fans are crazy. I don't know if you've ever interacted with them on Twitter, but they are certain that they are a powerhouse in football. And I have to say, TCU stomped them. So, you can't replace Florida State. You can't. So I just feel that it's a sinking ship and you got to get off it. And this board is being very intelligent right now, reading the signs. You'd rather be first than last.
Coming up, let's talk about Kansas State, your wheelhouse, being possibly fraudulent in football. Also, Big 12 power rankings are in. Eric has built his. There's something, I'll tell you that much. North Carolina, the Big 12, I think it's on the table. Anything's on the table in expansion. Thank you, Mr. Trustee Dave Boliak, for that one here on Locked On Big 12. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's Locked On Big 12 episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. eBay Motors keeps your ride or die alive. The reason that I like eBay Motors is the fact that I like to break my car sometimes. I went out the other day and I was driving my car and you heard underneath it, there was a plastic piece that was hanging. I go to eBay Motors and say, what is this plastic piece? They say, cut it off and buy a new one at eBay Motors because they had the piece and it fit guaranteed with eBay Motors Guaranteed Fit. They also have superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, power, speed, style. eBay Motors has you covered. With that guaranteed fit, it's guaranteed to fit. eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. For all of your automotive needs, millions of parts that are guaranteed to fit your ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. It is ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, and exclusion apply at ebaymotors.com.